Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine you get a legal filing, right, in a U.S. District Court case. And amidst all the talk about police reform, it explicitly connects those changes to,
Yeah.
well, to achieving world peace. Seriously, that's what we're diving into today. It's an addendum to plaintiff's supplemental notice for the record and declaration of gravitational consequences, filed by Joshua Haltom, representing himself pro se, as they say, against the City of Henderson, Tennessee Police Department.
Yeah, and what's really insightful here, I think, isn't just that it's a legal doc, it's how it reframes the whole idea. It basically suggests, that real national security isn't just about borders. It starts with justice, right there in your own communities. Internal order as, like, the foundation for global diplomacy.
Exactly. So our mission here is to pull out those surprising connections, the specific proposals in this document, and explain why, this isn't just some local issue in Tennessee. It potentially has these much bigger implications for all of us, really. So the document, it doesn't really mince words. It argues that the current ways of doing things are, quote, insufficient. Insufficient for dealing with things like unlawful policing, property seizure, and systemic opacity, a lack of transparency. And it makes this case for something pretty radical, an Article V constitutional convention.
Which is a huge mechanism, really powerful, rarely used, provided by the Constitution itself for amendments, right? Either states ask for it or Congress calls a convention.
Right. So if you're going to invoke something that big, what changes are actually being proposed? What's the goal here?
That's the key question. And what's fascinating about the proposals, it's not just calling the convention, it's how they try to fundamentally reshape the social contract, between the government and the people, pushing for one standard of justice across every state.
Okay, so let's break down the specifics. The plaintiff suggests changes to, first, establish national standards for police conduct. So, federal guidelines for things like use of force, accountability, training. Citizen oversight, too.
Standardizing things.
Second, ensure transparency and accountability. This means, like, immediate public release of misconduct investigations, body cam footage, internal reviews. Getting it all out there.
More openness, yeah.
Third, reform qualified immunity, that legal doctrine that often shields officials. The proposal is to amend it so officers can be held civilly liable for constitutional violations. The idea is to deter misconduct.
A really contentious point, that one, but central to their argument about accountability.
And fourth, protect property rights from unlawful seizure. Basically, strengthening protections against things like civil asset forfeiture, taking property without due process, and a conviction.
So taken together, that's quite a blueprint for domestic reform.
But then, here's where it gets really interesting. The document shifts scale dramatically. It argues police reform isn't just domestic. It's a critical component of global peace. And it introduces this principle, mutual responsibility. ARVAT, I think it's called.
Yes, ARVAT. It's a concept from Kabbalistic thought, essentially meaning collective responsibility. The document argues that when trust and justice break down within a nation, well, that erodes internal peace. And it kind of sets a bad example, right? It can serve as a model for authoritarianism elsewhere.
Wow. So connecting the dots.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the argument goes, a nation that can't ensure justice for its own people, how can it credibly push for peace or human rights internationally? It sort of undermines its own standing.
So the document lays out how these domestic changes could lead to bigger things globally. First, reduced global conflict. The idea is if a government respects its own citizens with fair policing, that creates internal stability.
Right, and that internal peace then projects outward, makes the government seem more legitimate, more trustworthy, less likely to be aggressive internationally.
And second, enhanced international cooperation. If you're transparent and accountable at home, that supposedly builds trust with other nations. Makes it easier to collaborate on big global issues, disarmament, aid, economic stability, you name it.
And it even brings in this idea of fulfillment of prophetic warnings, specifically referencing the Ashlag prophecy, which apparently warns that rejecting this mutual responsibility, this arvut, leads to a kind of dark cloud globally.
The dark cloud.
Yeah. And embracing transparency and justice, starting with police reform at home, is framed as a way to lift that cloud, a step towards, manifesting genuine world peace. It's a very spiritual dimension added to a legal argument.
So wrapping this up, what does it all mean? We've dug into a really profound, maybe quite ambitious argument here, linking very specific legal reforms for policing, call for a constitutional convention, all the way up to global harmony. It's quite a leap, isn't it?
It definitely is a big leap, but it forces you to think, doesn't it? It reminds us that justice, whether it's local, national, or international, it's all deeply connected. Maybe the roots of global peace are closer to home than we usually think.
That's a powerful idea to leave you with.
Yeah.
How might working towards justice and accountability right here in our own communities, how might that ripple outwards? Could it actually influence the bigger global stage and maybe foster peace way beyond our own borders? Something to consider.